My final question is away from the football, and it's more to do with the staff and what you've got here at Stable K. Obviously, you mentioned it's been a tough time for the business. There have been people that have left the company due to the effects. But
Well,
what would your message be to those that have put so much work in to ensure that, one, you could open the hotel for some of these events, and also to the football club to put the plans in place that hopefully from October we're ready to have everyone in the stadium?
Well, the amount of work that goes on making and meeting all the health and safety requirements for a building as big as this, with as much that goes on in this, it's a task in itself. And we've got people that have been disciplined enough to get that through. Now, I'm very proud of what we've achieved here. I'm very upset. There's some people that I've known that have been around me since the beginning. I mean, that's how hard it is. And the thing is, in the main part of our business, it's a lot more black and white. You've got this much money coming in, you've got this much work on, therefore, with this much hours requirement, therefore you can satisfy it. Football just isn't a business. You can't change it because your money goes down or something happens. It is what it is. You can never change your players' wages under contract, as we've all learnt. So you are where you are, and you have to live with that result. Also, you don't spend money. You see, I'm prepared to spend money out of Reese's fee on a player replacement because Russ needs a replacement. I know that. And if we can't get one on loan, we've got to buy one. We're going to have to buy one. I completely get that. But actually, the business side of me, we shouldn't be spending any money at all. Of course you blooming loan one, Pete. What are you even thinking about? But football is not that simple. Football is about the right people at the right time, the right characters, whether the manager loves somebody or doesn't love somebody. We can both see a player and then think, well, he's good, or he's better than him. But if the manager sees it another way and he's giving love to one player and not to another player, that player that's got the love is going to be better. So you can only do something that the manager really, because he picks that 11, and you're only adding value to the 11 that are on the pitch. So it's a really, really difficult juggle to get it right. And Anthony, over the last few years, we haven't. If people have looked at our squad, it's probably had 5 or 6 more players in since Robbie Nielsen and through Paul and everything, than we've ever had under Carl or even Roberto Di Matteo, or even going back historically. And you think it might be a good thing, but actually you can only put 11 players on the pitch, and you're going to know who your 11 players are. And when you're bringing a new player in, especially if you're going to spend money on that new player, you need to know he's replacing so-and-so, and his plan is to put him in the team in that position. You've got to know that. Otherwise, you're just collecting players. And we've seen that collecting players doesn't work. It doesn't work for us. It hasn't worked. We know that the loan market is an important market to be dabbling in. I know why Paul tried without it, because it's much easier to pick the team you want if you haven't got to think about who's on loan and what you might have to do. But actually, some of our best players have been our loan players. They've been an important part of the blend that has enabled us to play the attractive, modern, top-style football that we want to play. So I think Russ will get that balance right. I think he's approaching it in exactly the right way. The trouble is, at a certain level of money, I'm going to be saying no to that man, and saying no to you for the first time to your new manager. That's not easy, and as I understand, it's a real challenge. So I want everybody to get behind him, that we all know what he's doing. We all know he's got absolutely our best interests at heart, and he's fighting hard to get the best team he can on that pitch. But you also have to give a thought for me, because I've got to make sure that whatever happens, we get through this season and beyond in whatever things hit us. And as I say, I haven't got a player now that I can just go and sell if I had to, because we've already made that decision. And that so it can't be like for like, and I hope people understand that. So, I hope that kind of explains where we are, and maybe we can now just actually concentrate on this season, because what we can look forward to is Russ playing football. We've seen it in pre-season against Arsenal and Fulham, not in all of the games, I'll admit that, and so there's still work to do. We're still going to be an improving team, and that's the task I'm setting Russ. I don't know whether we can be a promotion team, a mid-table team. I definitely don't want to be a relegation team, but Russ will find where our targets can be. We will know as supporters, when we look at our team playing, we will know our strengths and our weaknesses. We're going to have to be brave, because Russ is going to play out from the back, and everybody's going to try and take the ball off us, and occasionally it's going to go horribly wrong. But actually, it's the kind of way that we want to play, a dynamic Milton Keynes Dons style of football that Russ is getting us back to, that is reinstilling that culture into the club, and I think in the long term that's a good thing. And for us, by the way, for our season, we will get all our season ticket holders in the ground. Not everybody can say that. They always used to say your ground's too big for you. Actually, it's probably just about the right size for a COVID crowd, and I think it'd be great to be able to get people back in the, and it will be socially distanced, and they'll all have their space, and no more than 2 family groups together, and all of those rules can work in this stadium. So I think we're going to be lucky compared to some football supporters, and I think I want to say thank you to everybody that stays with the club. At the end of the day, I'm not like the biggest supporter. I've got to stay with it, whatever it's going to cost at the end of it. And I'm really excited that we've got a manager again who wants to have that connection with the crowd, a manager that's feeling the pressure of trying to replace Rhys Healey. I've seen a side of Russ, a determined side of Russ, which really again quite excites me, because he's no pushover, I tell you. But at the end of the day, I have to have the club's best interest in heart, in terms of its long term, in terms of its future. And if I can't suddenly sell Rhys Healey and have the money, I cannot use all the money as a like for like in a transfer bid. And that might say, oh, but it's the budgets, it's in with it. It's not about the budgets at that point. It's about, you won't be able to do something in the future. You've just done it. You need to prepare some of that in case you ever needed it in the future, because I'm looking around the corner and I can see more lockdowns and things. I can see all different things happening. Equally, we might have been through the worst of it, and it only gets better. In which case, maybe we can look again. So let's just see how the whole of this. It's not our football club going through this trauma. It's every football club up and down the country going through exactly the same trauma. Some people feeling like, let's take this moment to be rich and strong. It's kind of how we tried to approach it to start with. We've been a bit damaged by that in losing, people like Rhys. But at the same time, if we can get the right replacements in, then we can still be as competitive as ever this season. But for Russ, I want him to concentrate on making us play, making us be MK Dons again, making us somewhere that people don't want to play against, people that don't get a look in on the ball, people that can't hold on to the ball. It's a dynamic, modern sort of football, and it's what we've grown up on. It's what Paul Ince, Roberto Di Matteo and Carl Robinson brought to the club. And in my trial to be successful, I went against my own formula. Russ is part of my original formula, and we're going to do it more watching the pennies, making sure they're good decisions, and that they're in our best interest. I mean, if you look at our track record, Anthony, in signing players and actually spending money for players, it's pretty good. There's not many players we've lost money on. We don't do it that often, but when we do it, it's right. And it's that same discipline for us. If it's right and it's the right money, we do it. And we do it now. Whatever I've said about COVID, we'd still do it now. But at the same time, we can't do a like for like. And that's why I need people to get their head around. And the reason is because I don't know what the future holds. And I've now played my joker hand of my get out of jail free card. It's played. So you now have to be in a slightly different position. And I hope people can really understand that. Because that's the responsibility and the custodianship of a football club. I have to take that.